Hi everyone. I hope you're having a refreshing summer experience. This week we'll read Parashat Eikev in Shul, which continues Moshe's speech to Bnei Israel, preparing them to enter the land without Moshe. For the Haftarah, we read selections from Yeshaya, Perkei Memtet through Nun Aleph, which begins, Fortomer Tzion Azavani Adonai. Tzion said, "The Lord has forsaken me." Despite this bleak beginning, the Haftarah is actually the second of what are called the Shiva de Nechimta, the 7 Haftarot of consolation, that transition us from Tisha B'Av through Elul and up until Rosh Hashanah. And indeed, the Haftarah ends with a pasuk that starts, Ki nicham Hashem Tzion, nicham kol charvotah. Right? God has comforted Tzion, comforted all her ruins. Although the Haftarah really is read here as part of this series of 7 because of the time of year, I want to explore a connection that it also has to the content of the Parsha itself, at least according to one Midrash. Right before the last pasuk in the Haftarah, we read, Shimu Elai Rodfei Tzedek V'Vakshei Hashem. Listen to me, you who pursue justice, you who seek the Lord. Habitu El Tzur Chotzavtem, Ve'al Makeved Bor Nakavtem, right? Look to the rock who you were hewn from, to the quarry you were dug from. These psukim have sort of a classic parallel structure that a lot of us have probably seen in Nevi'im Achronim. Shimu Elai Rodfei Tzedek, listen to me, those people who seek justice, is parallel to Mevakshe Hashem, those who seek God. In other words, Rodfei Tzedek and Mevakshe Hashem are sort of set up as similar or the same or somehow parallel groups of people. And they're both told to look to the rock, and the rock is again described in 2 ways. The next pasuk identifies who that rock is. Habitu el Avraham avichem ve'el Sarah tocholelchem. Right? Look back to Abraham, your father, and Sarah, who brought you forth. Those who pursue justice, Rodfei Tzedek, and those who seek God, Mevakshe Hashem, are told to look to Avraham and Sarah. These verses recall Breshit Yudchet Yudtet, where when God is deciding to tell Avraham about God's plan to destroy Sodom, God says, Ki yidativ l'man asher yitzaveh et banav et beito acharav. I know Avraham will instruct his sons and his sort of household or family after him, V'shamru derech Hashem lasot tzedakah u'mishpat, to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is just and right. So sort of the central attribute of Avraham and what he's passing on to his children is to do tzedakah u'mishpat. Back in Yeshayahu, the Malbim notes that tzedakah always refers to interpersonal matters. That is, piety that's bein adam l'chavero, between human beings, as opposed to Mevakshe Hashem, those who seek God, which refers to bein adam l'makom, matters between humans and God. So Rodfei Tzedek, those who pursue justice in our Haftarah, are indeed following the path that God laid out for Avraham and his descendants back in Breshit. Let's turn back to our Parsha now. The opening verse of Parashat Eikev is Devarim Zayin Yud Bet, and it starts or reads, V'haya Eikev tishmeun et hamishpatim ha'ele u'shmartem v'asitem otam. Right? If you do obey these rules and observe them carefully, V'shamar Hashem Elokecha et habrit ve'et hachesed asher nishba lavotecha. Right? The Lord your God will maintain faithfully for you the covenant that he made on oath with your father. Right? If you do the covenant, then God will keep the covenant, except it doesn't just say God will keep the covenant, the brit. It said God will keep the brit ve'et hachesed. Right? The chesed seems to be something a little bit extra. Writing on this pasuk, the Midrash in Devarim Rabbah gives an analogy. What is it like, says the Midrash? It's like a king who married a woman of high status, and she brought 2 emblems, meaning 2 valuable objects, into the marriage. Because of that, the husband kind of matched her, and he also brought 2 valuable objects into the marriage. The Midrash goes on about how she loses them, he loses them, they come back together, but we can leave that aside. So the Midrash argues Avraham brought 2 valuable items into the relationship with God, into the covenant. Those items are tzedakah and mishpat. Right? God responded by bringing in 2 valuable items, chesed and rachamim. In other words, right, when Avraham and his descendants exhibit the characteristics of tzedakah and mishpat, they can expect to receive in return chesed and rachamim from God towards them. The proof for the idea that God brought chesed into the relationship is in fact our pasuk, according to the Midrash at the beginning of Eikev, where God says that if we keep the covenant, God will keep et habrit ve'et hachesed. In other words, the Midrash goes out of its way to connect the first pasuk of our parsha to Abraham's commitment to tzedakah mishpat, and at the same time, the Haftarah also recalls that very same commitment. If we combine this with the Malbim above, we can see the central role that interpersonal ethics play in the covenant and in the destiny of the Jewish people. Those who are Rakshei Hashem, those who sort of seek God, must also be Rodfei Tzedek. They must also have proper interpersonal relationships. So while for some of us the summer may be a time where we do less explicit Torah learning, it's a great chance, and we all have many opportunities to work on this central element of the covenant, the emblem, as it were, that we bring into this relationship, tzedakah u'mishpat. Shabbat shalom.